How's it going, guys, and welcome back to another one bar build in Gedonia. Today we're going to be using the Arcane Power armor set, so let's dive in and have a look at the armor. This armor of magical tapestry almost looks like a magic rogue just because of the face mask. Looks sick. I really love the design on the robe. Yeah, gold topaz diamonds on it, all the purple. So let's check out the armor bonuses for this set. Once you have two pieces of the Arcane Power set, Arcane Barrage cooldown is reduced to 15 seconds and fires more, and can also stun the target for 3 seconds. And also Magic Overload cooldown is decreased to 10 seconds. If you have all 5 pieces of this armor set, Energy Beam does not use an element, so you can cast it without putting an element on. And it also deals 200% arcane damage instead. Evasive Blink doesn't apply instability and has increased range. And also Magic Shield doesn't use mana, absorbs fixed amount of damage. Now, just like all the clothies, it doesn't really have that much armor. It does have a pretty good magical damage absorption, and of course it has that boost to arcane magic spells. Decent amount of crit, low health, massive mana bonus, and also a pretty damn good magic resist as well. Alright, let's check out the accessories, starting with the cloak. So for this build I chose the Cloak of Arcane Power, just because it gives you a 200% damage increase to arcane magic spells, and also 150 to health and 100 to mana. Damn good. You can find this from doing expeditions, and also if you do the mage quest line, the epic quest, and then you can buy it from the mage merchant after you finish that faction quest. Other than that, it's pretty much a random drop from the dig sites. All right, moving on to the magical accessories. So I just went with Magical Ambition. Once you have 2 items of the Magical Ambition set, every time an enemy receives damage, you have a chance to gain an effect that increases all magic by 30% for 10 seconds. And if you have all 4 items, it's a higher chance of occurring, which means the more damage we can pump out, especially with Arcane Barrage, all of the Magical Ambition trinket set boost to arcane magic spells and also mana as well, what we're looking at. All right, now let's check out the living weapon. So the weapon I chose for this build is the Arcane Focuser Stage 3. Melee attack with this staff once every 5 seconds creates a slow-moving arcane projectile that deals massive arcane damage and attacks enemies with Arcane Barrage. Powerful explosion after 5 seconds. So that doesn't mean if you actually hit an enemy, that's just if you just use it near an enemy. So you don't have to be up close and personal. And with this, of course, it's a staff, you get the 200% mana regen, 55 damage, yeah. But you get a whopping 350% damage to arcane magic spells, massive. Plus a 200 bonus to mana, which is more than any of the other staffs, I think. So yeah, that's really big. Let's move on to the skills. So first up, in Blood Magic, we just got 15 points into that just to get our health up. Next up, in Arcane, we've got Magic Overload. For 5 seconds applies a buff. It'll increase our magic power by 60%. But all of our spells will be 80% more mana, which we want to pop that as much as we can just to get that burst damage. Next up, we have the Mastery skill, Maximum Overload. So whenever we use our Overload spell, it'll be 200% magic power at the cost of 400% mana. It's just more damage, but more mana cost, which is unfortunate, but that's what you get. And every point of intellect also gives us 30% more magic power. So the more intellect you have, more damage that will potentially do. Next up, we have Evasive Blink. So this just replaces our dodge. And if you remember with our armor set, we won't get the arcane instability. We don't have to worry about that. We can blink as much as we want without penalty. Then we have Arcane Barrage. So this shoots up to 3 arcane arrows to each enemy in front of the player. It deals 16 basic damage. There's maximum 10 targets. Now with our armor set, we shoot out a lot more, and it's also a stun. It can stun enemies for 3 seconds. Our Arcane Barrage will probably be mostly our spam ability for now. That and also melee attack, but we'll get to that when combat comes around. All right, next up we have Slow Time level 3. Just creates a zone of slow time, which slows down all enemies and projectiles for 30 seconds. So level 3 is just the huge size, a lot more room to move around. Next up is magic shield, just absorbs all damage at the cost of mana, except ours is a fixed percentage. So it won't consume mana. It could be like 10,000. I'm not too sure. It'll absorb 10,000 damage. It's just a fixed amount. Could be 1,000, could be 10,000. I'm not too sure. Moving on, we have flying level 3. This is just in the open world, just to sort of get away and travel, because there's not really too much arcane spells to sort of go around. I just thought, you know what, flying's fun, teleportation's fun, but you can use flying all the time without any cooldown, so it can get you in places that you could have before without a flying mount. So I picked that just for functionality and bit of freedom. Next up, we have mana bonus level 3, which increases our mana by 100. Then we have mana replenishment, which increases our mana regen by 300%. Next up is magic resist level 3, just increases our magical resistance by 9%. Then in elemental magic, we just got it up to level 13 and got elemental beam level 2. And if you remember, our armor allows us to use elemental beam without any use of the elements. It'll just use a arcane. It'll just boost our arcane damage by 200% when we use this, and it's just like firing off a beam for 4 seconds. Very handy to have, pierce through enemies, do a lot of damage all at once. Next up in defense, we have survivability level 2, just increases our health by 60. Also a movability, which increases our knock resist by 3, and also the mastery skill defense master, which gives us a 30% boost to our max health. Then in banditry, we just got 15 points into the tree itself, just to give us 15% chance to evade damage. And with speech, we got 7 points in that, and we got pressure level 2. So every time we attack, we have a chance to verbally abuse a target, decreasing their damage that they do. And charisma stat increases the effectiveness of that. We also got mastery skill loud speech, so the pressure has increased effect and also applies to all enemies around. Less damage that they do, the more survivability and chance you will live. Next up is charm. Every time an enemy attacks us, there's a small chance they will stop attacking us for 8 seconds. The charisma stat increases the effectiveness of this ability. Next up is mind control. So this will attempt to control the target's mind, and they will be able to fight for us. I'm not sure on what enemies can be mind controlled. I haven't really tested it out on every enemy, but it could be fun. But yeah, the charisma stat also increases the effectiveness of this ability. Then we have the talents. So 5 points in the health bonus for 500 health, 5 points in stamina bonus for 375 stamina, 5 points in mana bonus for 375 mana, also 5 points in magic bonus for 125% magic damage, 5 points in defense bonus to increase our armor and magic resist by 5%, and also 5 points in speed bonus to increase our attack speed by 15% and our movement speed by 1.25. Let's see what this build can do. Okay, let's get started. So what we can do, slow all these guys down. We can use mind control. I don't know which one on. Use overload and the elemental beam. Take all them out. He's still up. And I think we can get him to attack. We get him to come over here? Not ready yet. That's all right. When we use our melee as well, you see we can pump out that orb. We've got a few abilities that we can use. Whoa! Just shot to the sky. That orb's very powerful. Well, almost like a little machine gun. Pretty much got 3 moves. You just sort of want to keep the pressure up. And send that in, and that just keeps hitting them. Every 5 seconds. We'll just do a big arcane barrage, especially into a big group of enemies too. Be devastating. You should be able to rip through most enemies. You can put this up, whatever. That might control one of these things. There we go. Just heaps of damage. Arcane barrage. And look at all that damage that we're doing. We already took that big guy out. So yeah, ton of damage very quick. It's very burst fire, burst DPS going on here. Mage of Arcane Power, King of Burst Damage. You can do so much damage so quick. Like the only problems with this is sort of lack of skills. You don't have too many offensive abilities. And you have to use your staff to get that AoE burst damage as well with the Arcane Barrage, Floating Orb. You've also got the Arcane Barrage that you have and the Elemental Beam. Like they're your three main attacks. And then of course your bonuses to, like you've got the shield ability, slow time. So your two defensive ones, you fly, which is functionality in the open world. And also your overload, which boost your damage even higher. But I think that's about it. Just the lack of offensive moves, I suppose, with this build. But let me know what you guys think. I hope you guys enjoyed this build. I always enjoy making them, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. All right, guys, take care.